Hey VC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. I hope everybody's doing well out there today. So there's a thread going around of a number of threads, 25 best American bands, 25 best UK bands, 25 best punk bands, and et cetera, et cetera. So I sort of enjoyed watching those. So I thought I'd jump on the wagon and do that. I don't really think I have the expertise to say who the best bands are. I can say who my favorite bands are. So that's what mine is. It's going to be 25 favorite bands, American bands. I see this all over the place all the time on YouTube and on Facebook, the 25 best. This is the best. No, not the best. They're who you like the most. They're your favorite. So there you go. No more best, just favorite. And these are real bands, so they're not going to be, you won't see Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, or you won't see Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, because those are more, to me, more solo artists with bands backing them up. The other problem I had was, where do you put people like Simon and Garfunkel, Sam and Dave, the Everly Brothers, people like that? They're fantastic groups, but they're not bands per se. They're more like duos. So I'm not really sure where to put them, so they're not going to be on here. And there are a couple of bands I'm going to give as honorable mention. Didn't quite make the list, and one or two I would have if I had copies of their albums, but for some reason I don't. Such as The Temptations. They probably would have been on my top 25. I just don't have any of their albums. The Four Tops, Booker T and the MGs, The Coasters, people like that are definitely right up there, but didn't quite make the top 25. All right, so let's get into it. I got a lot to do. First band, number 25, is a band that was formed in Portland, Oregon, the other Portland. They're absolutely not rock and roll, but they sort of remind me of Ricky Ricardo's band from the Lucille Ball show. As someone once said, if the UN had a house band, this would be the band. And it is Pink Martini. And this is their album. I only have CDs of theirs. This is Hey Eugene. They have probably about a 14, 15-piece band. The woman on the cover there is China Forbes. She's a vocalist. She sings in, besides English, French, Spanish, Hebrew, Portuguese, Russian, all sorts of languages she sings in. It's just fantastic. Seen them 3 times and absolutely love this band. So that's their album, Hey Eugene. And this is another one of theirs, Hang On Little Tomato. So if you like that big band sound, fantastic musicians, just great, great, great. The Thomas Lauderdale is the piano player. He's the orchestrates the band, writes and helps write some of the music. But highly recommend, if you don't know them, check out Pink Martini. Number 25. Number 24 is a band, from what I hear, still has the original members, have never changed, and still going strong. One of my favorites is Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. This is their first album, which has the Boogie Bump, Mr. Pinstripe Suit, King of Swing, Mambo Swing, Jumpin' Jack. Just fantastic stuff. And while I'm thinking of it, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, excuse me a second. I used to have a men's clothing store here in Portland, and one day the band came in, and they bought some clothes, hung out for a while, and then about an hour later they brought me back this picture signed by the whole band, which was really nice of them to do that. Really nice guys, pretty cool. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, number 24. Number 23, another obviously all-time favorite. I'm trying to take these plastic sleeves off so they don't get so much reflection. And it is the Sir Douglas Quintet with Doug Sahm. This is their first album, I'm pretty sure. And this has Mendocino, At the Crossroads. And It Didn't Even Bring Me Down, Texas Me, Oh Baby, It Just Don't Matter. Fantastic album. Brought the Chicano sound to rock and roll. Great band. Obviously, they weren't from England, but when they came out, the Beatles thing was big. So the record company wanted them to have a more English-sounding name. So they became the Sir Douglas Quintet. Great stuff. Here's another one. I have a bunch of theirs. This is Sir Douglas and the Texas Tornadoes. Also a fantastic album. I Love the Way You Love, Cowboy Peyton Place, Texas Ranger Man, I'm Missing You, Country Groove. You can't hide a redneck under that hippie hair. So Sir Douglas Quintet. Number 23. Number 22. I told you it's going to be heavy on 60s stuff because that's what I do. It's what I know, 60s. And we got Love with Arthur Lee. This is their first album, My Little Red Book. Can't Explain. Hey Joe. One of the first interracial rock and roll bands of that era. Had a hard time getting bookings in the South and places in the West. But great band. Their first album, just called Love. And then, of course, their magnus opus, as they say, Forever Changes. Fantastic stuff. Everybody knows this. Love. For some reason, I picked 2 records of each band. Next up, we have the man himself. Speaking of 60s. Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. This is absolutely free. This stuff came out. We were amazed. If you grew up in the 60s and you heard this for the first time, you were like, what the heck is that about? But man, so great. Big Frank Zappa fan. I love all Frank stuff, but the Mother stuff also particularly good. That one and the other great one by them is Overnight Sensation. Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. Bing. Now, I forgot what number I'm at, so I'm not going to say the numbers. I'm just going to go through them. The next one will be the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. Don't have to say anything about this album. Everybody knows that. I have a couple of the Beach Boys, but for some reason, I just grabbed this one to show. So yeah, Pet Sounds, Beach Boys. Up next, another 60s iconic band that I was absolutely enthralled with. That's Spirit with Randy California. We don't know the story of Randy California. His mother was married to that guy, the drummer, Jack Cassidy, and he was a jazz drummer. They were living in California, and he got some gigs in New York, so she picked up the family, moved to New York. Randy was about 15 or 16 then. He started playing in some clubs in New York and ended up playing with a band called Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, which was Jimi Hendrix. In the band, there were 2 Randys. So to differentiate which is which, Jimi Hendrix dubbed him Randy California. He became Randy California for that. At that time, Jimmy was going to England to form a new band and asked Randy to go with him. And Randy's mother said, no, you're 16 years old. You're going to finish high school. You're not going off to England to form a rock and roll band. So Randy stayed back, got together with his stepfather, and they formed Spirit. This is their first album, Fresh Garbage. And on this album, of course, is Taurus, which was the big controversy about Stairway to Heaven. I don't know how the court ruled that it, not the same song, but the lick is, you listen to Taurus and you hear Stairway to Heaven. I don't know how he got screwed out of that. Topanga Woods, Water Woman, Elijah, great album. Unfortunately, Randy was out in Hawaii, and his son was having a hard time in the water with a rip current and was being carried out to sea. Randy swam out to save his son, and he did save his son, but he drowned. This was like when he was 40-some-odd years old. Another great album by them, The 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. Love this album. So fucking great. Animal Zoo, Mr. Skin, Love Has Found a Way, Space Child, Nature's Way. Fantastic. Yeah, so Randy left us too soon. All right, next up, we have, like I said, I forgot what number I'm at, so we have the great American band, as they all are, and it is the Flying Burrito Brothers. Graham Parsons with his nudie suit on there. This is their fantastic album with Christine's Tune, Sin City, Dark End of the Street, Juanita, Hot Burrito 1 and 2. Do You Know How It Feels? Great, great stuff. With Graham Parsons, Chris Hillman, Chris Etheridge, Sneaky Pete. And, well, I'm showing the Burrito Brothers. I might as well show Hot, what's this one? I'm sorry. Oh, Burrito Deluxe. Burrito Deluxe. Lazy Days, Man in the Fog, Farther Along, God's Own Singer, Wild Horses. The Real Deal. Fantastic. Next up, another 60s American band who I know and love. Got to see these guys at Woodstock. Very lucky to see them. And that's Canned Heat, their first album. Took that blues, took the a lot of the songs came from early '78 blues albums, records that Bob Hite, the Bear, had. His big collector of '78s, and he would take a lot of original blues stuff and they would update it and make it more California '60s blues sound. And I mean, Going Up the Country was taken from another, can't remember the guy's name, but originally wrote by another guy, recorded in the 1920s or something. But this has Rollin' and Tumblin', Bullfrog Blues, The Road Song, Story of My Life, Dust My Broom. Fantastic. Canned Heat. And by the time I saw them at Woodstock, Harvey Mandel was playing guitar with them also. And here's their great album, Canned Heat. Livin' the Blues, double LP. This is a Record Store Day copy because I couldn't find a really nice clean copy. So I decided to go crazy and get their Record Store Day issue, which is all, you know, colored vinyl and stuff. Doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. But great, great album. Pony Blues, My Mistake, Going Up the Country, Boogie Music, Refried Boogie. Canned Heat. All right. Moving right along. Next, here's a band that sort of formed from this, other bands came about. And this is Uncle Tupelo, Wilco, and can't think of the name of the other band that came from them, but there's another one. Jay Farrar, I can't think of the name of the band he started. Anyway, Uncle Tupelo, great Americana music. Fantastic stuff. Love it, love it, love it. Getting down to it now. Here we go. Another American band that they said when their first album was recorded, they sold 5,000 copies. Only 5,000 copies, but that everybody that bought a copy started a band. And that is the Velvet Underground. This is their first album. This is not a first pressing, but a very early pressing, and still has the banana attached to it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, the original, I mean, the early pressings, you have a picture of a guy here, so this doesn't have that, but the fact that the banana is still intact is still pretty cool. Everyone knows this record by Velvet Underground. When this came out, it just changed everything. It was like one of those, there were a few albums that changed everything. And this is one of the albums that changed the music scene when it first came out. And the next album I have by them, which I love, is White Light, White Heat. No, I'm sorry. Just, excuse me, I don't have the White Light. This is just called The Velvet Underground also. And that album. And this is the one that has Candy Says, Pale Blue Eyes. So great. Story of My Life, etc. No, White Light, White Heat is the one I need. Still looking for that. Excuse me a second here. It's fall in Maine, so you have to have some Maine apple cider. Here's a band from Boston area, and it is the original Modern Lovers, Jonathan Richman. Like I always say, to me, this is like punk music with a smile instead of a sneer. This is their album that was recorded before their first album was released, and this was put away. It wasn't released, and then finally in the 80s, it was finally released. Recorded around early 70s. So it has early versions of Roadrunner 1, Astral Plane, I Want to Sleep, Don't Let Our Youth Go to Waste, Girlfriend, Dance With Me. Fantastic stuff. And while we're doing Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, we'll go rock and roll with the Modern Lovers. Great album. On Berserkly Records, Ice Cream Man, Summer Morning, South American Folk Song, Dodge Vegematic. Anyway, there you go. Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers. Actually, he's playing in this winter down in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. He's still around, still touring. I'm sorry I lost track of what number I'm at, but we're getting up there. This band, I heard this album for the first time. I must have been 16 years old, and I was like, that's for me. That's the first Paul Butterfield Blues album. Amazing. I mean, first time you put this album on, and they break into Born in Chicago. Oh my God, fantastic. And as it says on the back, we suggest that you play this record at the highest possible volume in order to fully appreciate the sound of the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. And we did that. It really blew me away. Fantastic. And I was lucky enough to see them in '65 at the Newport Folk Festival. So I got to see Mike Bloomfield, Elvin Bishop, Paul Butterfield, the whole band. But obviously everyone knows this record, fantastic blues album. And the next one I'm going to show by them is the classic East West, which was, of course, Walkin' Blues, Get Out of My Life Woman, Work Song, Mary Mary, Two Trains Running, and East West, 13-minute version. Fantastic. Paul Butterfield Blues Band. And another one of my all-time favorite bands, REM, Document. And REM, Automatic, For the People. I don't have to say anything about it. Everyone knows these bands. I don't have to say much about them. Everybody knows. REM, absolutely fantastic. Getting down to it now. Like, I don't know how many more I got left. Maybe getting close to the top 10. The Doors, first album. This is a later, obviously, repress. It's a 2-record, 45 RPM analog production. Sounds phenomenal. I mean, it doesn't sound good. It sounds amazing. Great, great recording and a great pressing of it. And another Doors album, which I love, is L.A. Woman, towards the end of their career. Just love this album. Has the original window sleeve there. And this, of course, has, Love Her Madly, L.A. Woman, La America, Crawling King Snake, and Riders on the Storm. The Doors. And then we have, since we're still doing the 60s, because that's what I do, couldn't get by without showing the Byrds, Fifth Dimension. Okay, Fifth Dimension, Wild Mountain Time, Mr. Spaceman, 8 Miles High, Hey Joe, and also with the Byrds, we have Mr. Tambourine Man. All that San Francisco sound of the 60s. The only thing I hate about doing these videos is having to put all the records back when I'm done. All right. Sly and the Family Stone, Stand. I can't say enough about it. It's an original. Again, I was lucky enough to see them at Woodstock, and to me, without a doubt, they were the best act at Woodstock. They outshone everybody. And there were some other great shows, great performances for sure. But to me, Sly and the Family Stone, it came out like 2 or 3 in the morning, and they lit that crowd of 500,000 people up. It was amazing to be there. Sly and the Family Stone. A show he actually showed up for. He was notorious for not showing up. And here's their other great album, Sly and the Family Stone. There's a Riot Going On, yeah. Also, great record. Sly and the Family Stone. It's another California, LA band because they did it all. We got the first Grateful Dead album, Morning Dew. New England, New Minglewood Blues, Beat On Down the Road, Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, Sitting on Top of the World, etc. The Grateful Dead. Got to see them a couple times too. And funny, because they probably gave the worst performance at Woodstock, right after Sly and the Family Stone gave the best performance at Woodstock. Also, we all know this album by them. Oh, it's hard to take these plastic sleeves off, they're a little tight. And it is, come on, you can do it. There we go. Working Man's Dead. And it's an original with the upside down label in the back. Everyone knows Working Man's Dead. Probably their best studio album, I think. Working Man's Dead. All right. Sticking with it. California. Wear some flowers in your hair. 67. Summer of Love. Jefferson Airplane. Grace Slick. And the band. Somebody to Love. My Best Friend. 3/5 of a Mile in 10 Seconds. How Do You Feel? Embryonic Journey. White Rabbit. Plastic Fantastic Lover. And then my second favorite album by them. Excuse me, I keep dipping down there. After Bathing at Baxter's. Just psychedelic. Just great stuff. I love it. All right. Next one, another great performance at Woodstock. Up there with Sly was Santana. I'd seen them a couple of weeks earlier. I'd gone to the Atlantic City Pop Festival. And Santana were there. And it was funny because they came out and the announcer, who was this guy Biff Rose, who had a couple albums out, introduced them as the Santana Blues Band. And as soon as they got out, Carlos went to the microphone and says, "Thanks for the introduction, but just so you know, we are not a blues band." And I'd never heard of them before. And they broke into all these songs, Soul Survivor, etc. And it was amazing to see. Just amazing. This has the flip upside down jacket too in the back. But you all know this record. Evil Ways, Waiting, Persuasion, Soul Sacrifice. Incredible stuff. Santana. And one of the bands that their second album I think is even better than their first, and that is Abraxas. This is one of my few MoFi albums I have. This is a limited edition, numbered edition, and it sounds pretty unbelievably amazing. Santana, Abraxas. Let me see what we're down to here now. Excuse me a second. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Top 5. All right. Number 5. Back on Track. Another American band. I'm really sorry I never got to see these guys because I would have loved them. They're right up my alley. And number 5 for me, my 5th favorite band, American band, would be Little Feat. Lowell George and gang. This is their first album. with Truck Stop Girl, Willin', 44 Blues, Cracking Your Door, I've Been the One, Taking My Time, Little Feat. Some reason I just never got to see them, and I'm really, by the time I was ready to see them, Lowell had been gone, he died, and I really wasn't interested after that. Here's a live album. This was also a Record Store Day release a couple of years ago. This is live at Ultrasonic Studios, which is out in Long Island, New York in 1974. This is a great, great album. Really great. Little Feat, number 5. Number 4. This is a band that I haven't seen anybody list as one of the top 25 bands, which really surprised me. But I guess a lot of people were doing punk and stuff that I just have no interest in and wouldn't show. And that would be Steely Dan. There's Pretzel Logic and their other great album. Oh, I love all that stuff, is Asia. I'm not a big prog rock guy. You don't see much prog rock in my collection. And I don't know if this is actually considered prog, but fantastic stuff. Really fantastic. Number 4. Number 3. Finally saw these guys this past summer for the first time, and they've been around forever. And I was lucky enough to finally got to see them this past summer. They gave a free show here in Freeport, Maine at LL Bean. They have a free outdoor concert every summer, and they have 5 or 6 different bands and different times every Friday night during the summertime. So one day, Los Lobos was there, and I was so happy to be able to go up and sit outside in a nice summer night and hear Los Lobos play. Just amazing stuff. This is the album, How Will the Wolf Survive? And then also with Los Lobos, we have this other great album, By the Light of the Moon. So yeah, number 3, Los Lobos. And number 2, my second favorite American band. If I can get them, here we go. And it is another Woodstock gem, Creedence Clearwater Revival. I just love them. They just come out, they play rock and roll, and they're just so great. I saw John Fogerty a couple of years ago here in Maine, and he gave a great show. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. And he was 70 years old. He spent 2 hours running around the stage and carrying on. It was just fantastic. So, yeah, my second favorite band of all time, American band of all time, would be Creedence Clearwater Revival. And here's the album Cosmos Factory. Great stuff. And you all know this album. I don't have to go through it. Ramble Tamble, Traveling Band, Ooby Dooby, Look Out in My Back Door, which might be my favorite song by them. Yeah. And the number 1 favorite band by this guy, and I think they're the best band America ever produced, and that's Talking Heads. Talking Heads 77, their first album. I mean, Love Comes to Town, New Feelings, No Compassion, the book I read, Psycho Killer, of course, Pulled Up. Everything they did. There's not an album they put out that I didn't absolutely think is fantastic. So I'm going to show them that one. And, of course, the great Fear of Music album. My number 1 band of American band. My number 1 American band. Talking Heads. So those are my 25. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, give me that thumbs up. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. Check out everybody else's top 25 bands on YouTube, on the VC. There are a whole bunch of people that did them. I may do the 25 favorite UK bands, but haven't got around to thinking about that yet. Okay, hey, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, peace.